Back of the gravel pack, early February, eastern Kansas. Not freezing cold, not exactly warm. Still some snow, but the roads are dry enough to get out right outside. So I thought that'd be a good opportunity. Catch you up, give you a little update on what I've been up to for the last month or so. I also thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about what my calendar is looking like for at least the first half of the year or so, as far as gravel events. Signed up for a few. Thought we'd talk about those a little bit today. So, first things first, let's talk about January. Last month or so, been trying to get out, ride as much as I can. Hasn't gone terribly well with the weather, like a lot of the country right now. So that's meant a lot of time on the trainer, which I probably hate as much as anyone. I have gotten in, I don't know, maybe 10 rides or so on the Midnight Special, which is what I'm on right now. A little bit filthy, got the fender on today. Yeah, so just a quick summary. I've been trying out a couple different wheel sets, running some 650B, running some 700. And so far, actually, surprisingly, I think I like the 700 wheel set a little bit better. The feel of it just feels a little bit quicker, snappier. It goes along a little better with the geometry of the frame. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. My 650 wheels are a little bit more mountain bike-like. I bought them for bike packing, so a little bit heavier, burlier. But yeah. Right now I have a set of 700C. These are the Bontrager Aeolus, something like that I robbed from my truck. Saved me pretty well so far. So I'm actually thinking for a lot of events, I'll probably be running these, and then other types of rides I may be switching to 650 when I'm a little more comfort. Maybe for bike packing, a few other things where tire volume would be nice. Could put some big old tires on there as well. So yeah, jury's still out, still early on that, but feel pretty good about the 700, feel pretty good about this bike. Other than the wheels, been messing around a little bit with seat position, bar position, all those types of things. I think I might switch out the stem. Right now I have the Redshift stem, shock, whatever they call it, stem. Yeah, I kind of like it, but I think I could use a little more rise with this setup for this size frame for me. So I'm going to maybe try a stem with a little bit of rise and see if it feels a little bit better. I feel a little bit heavy on the front end of this bike right now. So far from an expert on fit, but I think there's some tweaking still to be done to get it perfect, but so far so good on the Midnight Special. Got a few clips of the last few rides, give you an idea of some initial thoughts. Today is ride number 1 on the Midnight Special. First ride outside. Front end feels a little bit noodly with that wheel, so I'm going to try a carbon wheel. See if it makes a little difference, but yeah, good shakeout ride. So far so good, no problems. I'm out for ride number 2 today, the Midnight Special, and I think we are getting dangerously close to having this thing set up like I want it. Did want to comment on one change I made since the build video, and that's changing the wheels out on this bike. I made it exactly 1 ride before I switched the wheels out and grabbed these carbon wheels off my truck. I was really hoping the rims I had on it, Bontrager rims, would suffice, but really felt pretty noodly on the front end especially, and just wasn't really the feel I was looking for on this bike. So switched that out, and it is night and day difference. I guess I've just gotten used to that feel of having some nice carbon rims underneath me. So these wheels on this bike, just above 24 pounds now on this build. I have a little ways to go and some things I could do, but starting to feel pretty darn good about this build being a nice ride for some gravel events this year. Ride number 3 on the Midnight Special today. Today is my first ride. This bike with 650B wheels and tires. So just give you a look here. Running a 650B Thesis wheel I got that I really like. I've used in the past on a bike packing bike, but yeah, I like them quite a bit. Right now I have a Pano Racer, what do they call them? Gravel King SS 1.9s, 1.9 inch tire on here. So my plan for this bike is this is going to be what I'm going to riding for events. Generally I'm riding something in the 100k, 200k, 100 mile, maybe 200 mile range. Some bike packing overnight type thing, but you know, a little bit more quick and responsive bike than my Gorilla Monsoon, but at the same time a little more comfortable. Gonna be a little bit heavier and a little bit slower than my Checkpoint, so looking forward to the experience. You know, riding a steel frame, carbon fork, carbon bars, seat post, wheels. It's a fun mix. I'm looking forward to getting to go this year. I know that's blasphemy for some folks that are all about the steel, and there's also the folks that, you know, if it's not carbon, not interested. So I think it's a fun blend of the two. Feels really nice so far. It's a nice mix. It's comfortable, yet feels pretty aggressive. And as I put more and more miles on it, I'll keep you in the loop on this journey and let you know what I think. Out here today, and this is ride number 4-ish on the Midnight Special. Do another ride with 650 wheels. Out for ride number 5 on the Midnight Special today. Switch back to 700s. I don't know if it's just perceived or what. They feel faster. They definitely feel faster. Not as smooth, but easier to keep a pretty good pace. I don't know. I've often heard though, what feels fast often actually isn't fast. So we'll see. Something else we got into during January, just last weekend in fact, we went down to Fayetteville, Arkansas for Cyclocross World Championships. Really hell of an event, fun time. Nice to see people outside again, and some of the best athletes in the world, you know, really, as far as cyclocross and road and mountain bike. There's some really impressive to see what those folks can do. Yeah, so I had a really good time. Got some footage here, kind of show you a little bit about the experience we had.
Champion of Great Britain, so many back steps.
Route around
Really good time. If you ever have a chance to see, one of the World Cups, one of the bigger cyclocross events, there's one in Iowa and Wisconsin pretty much every year now. Fayetteville and Bentonville is a really sweet area to visit. Northwest Arkansas, some of the best mountain biking in the U.S. these days. Yeah, I probably will be back. It's only a 4-hour drive or so from here, so get down there into the Ozarks, do some bike packing, some gravel riding again in the future. Took my bike down, just didn't happen with everything else going on, but hoping to make another trip here soon. Get down and see more of the area. I think we've been down 3 or 4 times now, and looking forward to going back. Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville. So props to the folks that made that event happen. Last thing I wanted to cover today is what my schedule's looking like for 2022 as far as events and filming projects and what I have in the works. Starting out, be early March. The reason I'm out here in the snow and mud and cold headwinds, heading down to Southern Illinois for Dirty South Gravel Revet in Southern Illinois, an area I lived in for a while. Really great place to ride. Get down there in the national forest and some forest roads, and I think this has been probably my 3rd or 4th trip down for that event. I think it's a 100K-ish, the longer event, and something I enjoy quite a bit, making that trip. I'm going to start that out first weekend of March, and then back-to-back weekends heading down to Mid-South again. For some reason, I've convinced myself to give it a go again. This will be number 3 for me. I've ridden it a dry year. Had a good time, had a nice finish. Rode it in a wet year, made it halfway before I trashed my bike and my body and call her quits at the halfway point a couple years back. I think it was the last time they actually had it in person. It was a rough go. Gonna give her one more go, I guess. I'm not real sure why. I decided that was a good idea. If it's dry, I really enjoy it. The roads down there, the environment, it's a good time, good organization, those types of things. When it's wet, it's definitely some type 2 fun. And I don't know, maybe I guess part of me wants, if it is wet, just to make it through once, make it through a mud one all the way and do it. A little bit leery with a brand new bike, brand new bearings. When it's muddy down there, you're going to replace everything. And that's an expensive venture. So not real sure how I feel about a muddy year. Maybe it's something I need to do, maybe it's something I don't. But those are the first 2 events I have in March. I think pretty quiet for the rest of the month of March, get some good training in. Getting into April, let's see, things that come to mind. Flint Hills Gravel Ride over out of Americus, just outside of Emporia. Went to the first round last year, decided to come back for the 2nd year this year. Really nice roads out there, and Bobby's a good dude. And so I want to support that, a local event, a smaller event again, and something that I quite enjoy. He did add a longer event this year. Didn't sign up for that one, didn't make it in time, but I want to say maybe 100K or so is the distance for what I signed up for. To be honest, I can't remember. Hopefully less hike a bike this year, Bobby. We got a couple good miles of that in last year. Not my favorite activity, but part of it, conditions that time of year, this part of the world, it can get a little sloppy, which I think it's going to get a little sloppy on me today. Not real happy about that. Maybe rerouting here. After that, I have some events that I'm still looking at, trying to figure out what I want to end up at. But one thing I know I'll be going back to is open range. I've done the bike packing event there. I've done a couple of the distances, but I really enjoy the bike packing route where you do the full 200K over a 2-day period. They give you I think it's called Jip Hills or Red Hills Guest Ranch, place to camp. They actually feed you their dinner, breakfast the next morning, and one of the more enjoyable weekends I have every year. Probably one of my favorite places to ride bikes in Kansas, down in south central Kansas. Leaves out of Pratt, gets down near Medicine Lodge, Sun City, and just a really great mix of roads down there. And something I look forward to every year, and coming back again this year for the bike packing category for that. So that'll be a pretty good time. In May right now, I have not officially signed up for anything. Generally, I'm going to do at least 1 or 2 events in May. Just kind of top off fitness, that type of thing. I've done La Grande in the past, maybe doing that. May not be doing that alone, maybe getting the much better half along with me. There's a few other things. I'd like to make it out to Colorado again this year. A few events I've been considering, Colorado to Utah, Pony Express down in southeast, Colorado, and a few others. So we'll see how things work out. May sign up for some of those soon. And the event that I guess I mentioned in the title, and that a lot of folks are hearing about now, next on my schedule, I did in fact sign up for Unbound this year. I know I talk about those larger gravel events and having mixed feelings about those organizations and those events and the good and bad and they mean. Kind of went back and forth on it quite a bit. In the end, I made a pretty interesting decision. My wife, my much better half, showed some interest in trying to get through a 100-mile event this year. She's never done 100 miles. She's done 100K. She's done some harder events. In some years rides quite a bit, but has never gone through 100 miles. And so there were some changes to the format of the lottery this year. They got rid of the teams format and Unbound, which can't say I'm super psyched about. That idea would let you, enter as a team. So either all of you got in or none of you got in type thing. And wife's not super comfortable with the idea of riding the 100 by herself, kind of thing we'd like to do together. So with the elimination of teams, there was no way she would obviously get in. They do, I think, automatic entries for women, trying to up the number of women's, which is really great to see. But what it probably would end up being is I just got in last year for the 200, so she would get in for the 100 and I wouldn't. And that's, not what we were looking to do. Not what she was looking to do. To be honest, I'd been just fine just doing some filming and pitting and crewing for folks. But so made the interesting decision to enter as a tandem entry, which is an interesting decision for sure. Why is that? Well, number one, we don't own a tandem. Number two, we've never really spent much time on a tandem. And number three, when we did that entry, I don't know that we'd ever ridden a tandem whatsoever, not for at all. We were able to borrow a tandem in Emporia. Shout out to Corey for letting us take a spin on his bike for a little bit, see what we thought, see if we could get through 100 miles without murdering each other. And for some reason, we decided we could. This may be a video that never sees the light of day, depending on what happens, but we are out on a test ride. What are we doing today?
Trying out a tandem bike for the first time ever.
Mine's in. And just kind of entered on a whim. Wasn't really sure how that would go as far as entries and such, and figured we'd enter, what the heck, see what happens, and we got in. So now we're in a position of finding a bike, learning how to ride said bike, and getting prepared for 100 miles of some pretty rough gravel and spots of Unbound 100 for some first-time tandem riders. So I will say this, it is going to make for one hell of an adventure. Got to be a great video. It's going to be a long day for both of us for sure, and there's a lot that we have to learn about what that means, trying to get through it on a tandem and how that's going to go. So I am working diligently right now trying to find a bike, have a few leads. I think we're getting pretty close, whether it's finding a used bike or ordering a new one. For those that aren't familiar with tandems, they're not cheap, even the used ones. It's been a bit of a battle finding a gravel specific or something that would work well on type of terrain of Unbound. So anyway, that's the big announcement for today, is we are in Unbound, my wife and I. We are entered as a tandem for the 100-mile category, and we're going to give it hell. We've already started the conversation of finish no matter what. It's been very few events. In fact, I think that Mid-South that I bailed at halfway was the only event I've ever not finished. And so we're going to give it everything we can to get through 100 miles. For the rest of the year, a few other events scheduled. I think I'm heading up to Beatrice, Nebraska for the Solstice Gravel Grinder, Solstice Grinder, I think it is. And then there's a few others in the summer and the fall still working on, but it's going to be a pretty good schedule. I also have a few trips in mind, week-long bike packing trip, a couple local bike packing trips, something out west this year. So trying to get out as much good content, enjoyable content as I can back of the gravel pack. I think my goal this year is to try and focus on other folks at these events as much as I can. You've kind of heard my story, know what I have to say. Part of that adventure in those events is meeting other folks. And so if you see me at an event, feel free to stop me, come up, say hello. If you're comfortable, happy to chat with you on camera and hear a little bit about your story and what brought you to the event. And yeah, so maybe switch things up a little bit, try and improve content where we can. If you have any ideas, I'm always all ears. Types of events, types of content that you enjoy. We've got some equipment reviews coming out here pretty soon as well, so that should be, you know, within the month or two. Got a few things, including some new shoes that are under these shoe covers right now, staying nice and clean and dry, that I really have been enjoying, and a few other things. So yeah, stick with it. Thanks for tuning in this week. Back at the Gravel Pack. It's going to be a good year, and can't wait. Well, that's about it for today's ride. Back to town. About to call it a day. Not a real long one today. Got a few good efforts in. Avoided some of the mud. Found some of it. Feels good to be outside in the sun. A couple of days in the sun and the conditions are going to be pretty good. So hoping for a big week next week. I think I got about 4 or 5 weeks of training before I start getting into some events. Not looking to be at the front of those events, but to be honest, I just found I enjoy myself when I have a little more fitness, so I can ride my pace, enjoy the day, see new places. The end of this ride also means it's the end of the video. Appreciate you joining me today back to the Gravel Pack. If you haven't done so already, really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe, like button, and comment below. Helps build the community we're trying to create here, and we'll see you next time.